exercise which we need to do, exercise 7A, when we will compare the quantities to solve the question, right? So this method is already, I hope, clear to you. So this is exercise 7B. 7A is a complete exercise of direct proportion, right? So there are both type of questions. You can see the first few questions are questions of comparison, and then next few questions like question number 3, 4, they are questions of K method, right? So let's discuss them quickly. Let's discuss how to solve these both kind of questions. So let's say we can solve the second question. So you can see second question is that in a bookstore, 60 identical books occupy a length of 1.5 meters on a shelf, right? So the length of occupied, find the length occupied by 50 such books on the shelf. So we are going to solve this question on the whiteboard. Okay. So this is a question of comparison of quantities, right? So we will compare the two quantities to find out the answer. Okay. So this method was like this. This is exercise 7A, question number 2, right? So we are comparing number of books. You know how to solve this kind of question. We write proportion in form of ratio. So number of books are compared with the length in the shelf, length on the shelf, like how many space they are taking. Okay. So length on shelf. So it is given that when the number of books were 60, the length on the shelf was 1.5 meter. So 60 books, it is 1.5 meters, right? So now we need to find out if there are 50 books in the first part. If there are 50 books, how much length they will take, how much space they need, right? So first of all, this was the first step in the solution, that you need to write down the quantities which are compared in the question in form of ratio, right? Now what we need to do, we need to see if they are direct proportion or indirect proportion. So you need to tell me, do you think more number of books will take more space, or will more number of books will take less space? Please tell me, are they direct proportion or inverse proportion?
Direct.
They are direct proportion. So we will put the arrows in the same direction, right? Arrows would be in the same direction. So now we can write down the equation. X by 1.5 is equal to 50 by 60, right? So now we can just take this 1.5 on the other side of the equation. So it will be X is equal to 50 multiplied by 1.5 divided by 60, right? So remove this decimal, put another 10 here. Okay, this will be gone. So now I can cancel this 0, right? And this will be cancelled. 5 2s are 10, 5 3s are 15, right? So I can still cancel this 3 2s are 6. So what I am left with, there is 5 left in the numerator and there is 4 left in the denominator. So it's 5 by 4. 5 by 4 is, in the decimal form, what is 5 by 4? Approximately 1.2. I think so, 1.25, right? And the unit would be meters. And that makes sense. When the number of books were more, they are taking more space. And now the number of books are less. So definitely they should take a bit less space. Okay. So 5 by 4 is 1.25 meters, right? I hope this part is clear. So moving on to the second part of this question, let me show you the question. So the number of books needed to completely occupy the shelf that is 80 centimeter long. So this time we need to find out the number of books, and the shelf length is given as 80 centimeter. So as we know that when we compare the quantities, so we need to keep the unit same. Okay. So in the second part, number of books, still the same quantities are compared. Number of books are compared with length on shelf, right? So now this time this is 60 and this was 1.5 meter. Now they have given us that how many books do we need for 80 centimeters long shelf. So 80 centimeter, and we need to find out, let's say, y. So the units are not same. So this will, this is not a good thing. We need to change them into the same unit. Okay, so we know that always going in the smaller unit is better. Instead of changing 80 centimeter into meters, I will change 1.5 meter into centimeter. Okay, so when we convert in centimeter, we multiply by 100. So this would be 150 centimeters, right? So this is what we have converted already. So now we can solve this question. So because the units are same now, we can compare them. So it's also a direct proportion question. So you will put arrows in the same directions. So 4 by 60, y by 60 is equal to 80 by 150, right? So now take this 60 on the other side of the equation. So this will be y is equal to 80 multiplied by 60 divided by 15, right? So now you can 150, sorry. Now you can cancel this 0 maybe. Then you can cancel 3 2s are 6, 3 5s are 15. Now this 5 can be cancelled with this 80. So it's like 5, 30. So 6 5s are 30. We are left with 16 and 2 on the numerator, and the denominator is all gone. Okay, so 16 into 2 is 32 books. Achha, I have a question here, 8th class. What if the answer is a decimal? So then what should I do? Should I go one step ahead or one step below? मुझे round off करना होगा ना, because I need to tell how many books. जी हाशिम.
Round off.
नहीं, round off करना है. Like for example, अगर मेरा answer आता, I'm just taking an example. मेरा answer आता 15.3 books. तो मैं क्या कहती? 16 books आ सकती हैं shelf पे या 15 books आ सकती हैं?
15.
15. So I will round it off to the lower side. ठीक है, lower limit की तरफ हम जाएंगे, because ये जो extra 0.3 है ना, this cannot come in the shelf. This would be a small space left, you know. So, but good thing is that we are having a whole number as an answer. Okay, so this is the answer of question number 2. So this was basic question, because you can see in the book also this is marked with blue circle, right? So we can do some similar questions, because I have shared with you already. I think so. We need to do how many questions from this? I think so. First 7A के first 14 questions. So let's see. First question तो हमने skip किया. Then if we go into the yellow dots, so this is also a question of comparison, right? This is also a question of comparison. So we can do maybe one of this. Let's say sixth question. Sixth question कर लेते हैं. Sixth question is 5 by 9 of a piece of metal has a mass of 7 kg. So first of all, we need to see what are the two things compared. 5 by 9 is the piece of metal. So this is length of that metal, right? And it is compared with the mass. So the two quantities that are compared are mass and the length, right? We're talking about question number 6. I hope you can see on your screen. Okay, so the two quantities compared are mass and the length, right? So right, so let's say question number 6, right? So length of metal is compared with the mass, right? So these are the two quantities compared. So now what is this? The data is 5 by 9 of a metal. So you don't have the unit, that's fine. Okay, 5 by 9 is compared with 7 kg. If the length of that metal is 5 by 9, the mass is 7 kg, right? So we need to find out what is the mass of 2 by 7 of the piece of metal. I have picked this question because there are fractions, so definitely we need to deal with this carefully, right? So I told you 7A may, the topic is direct proportion. So this is definitely a question of direct proportion. The more the length of metal, the more would be the mass. Okay, so this is directly proportion. So we will put arrows in the same direction. Now I can write down the equation. X by 7, there is no issue in that. X by 7 is equal to, now there are double fractions. So we will write down as, instead of putting like this, get 2 by 7 divided by 5 by 9 and then confusing myself with this. So I will not write it. वैसे भी this is not a good practice in the modern maths. ठीक है, ये पुरानी practice है. So we will write down 2 by 7 divided by 5 by 9. So we are familiar with this sign in the fractions, and we know to solve this sign, you can just change it into the multiplication sign, and then you can just simplify and multiply, right? So now we can just say x by 7 is equal to 2 by 7 multiplied with 9 by 5. Okay, so is there anything we can cancel? Let's see, we can take this 7 on the other side of the equation. So it would be 2 into 9 into 7. Always remember, bete, do not waste time with the intermediate calculations. Like I will not multiply, even though they are small numbers, I can multiply 9 into 2, 7 into 5, but I will still not do it because this is just an intermediate calculation, which is not required actually. So now I can see I can cancel this 7. Okay, so and the answer is 18 by 5. So because this is mass, so I should convert it into the decimal maybe. So x is equal to 3.30, so 65, 3.6 kg, right? So if the mass is 2 by, if the, sorry, length is 2 by 7, then the mass would be 3.6 kg, right? So any question? I hope this is clear. Right. So moving on to the next question, let's see if we can do some more questions of proportion comparison. So let's say these questions, because we need to do questions till 14 questions, like 14 we can do. So just look at this question number, question number 9. So how you're going to solve it? This is the known value. Okay, you need to solve it in the same manner. Okay, this is the value which you need to use. ठीक है, इस वैल्यू को यूज करते हुए आपने ये सारा टेबल फिल इन करना है. ठीक है, और यहाँ पर इस वैल्यू को यूज करना है. राइट, सो यू कैन सी कि हाउ दे आर रिलेटेड. लाइक इन दिस यू कैन सी कि दिस इज लाइक द रूल फ्रॉम y टू x या x टू y. अगर आपने जाना है तो यू नीड टू डिवाइड इट विद 4. ठीक है, और अगर आपने डेफिनेटली y से x जाना है तो देन यू नीड टू multiply by 4 because the numbers here are very simple. So but in this, 3 is changed to 3.6. So this is the question which require more calculation maybe. So you will just compare, you will write down x is compared with y. Okay, x and y are compared. So then you will say k. So x is compared with y. So you will say 3, when x is 3, y is 3.6. And now because x is 2 and you need to find out y, so you will say x is 2 and then y is the unknown because xy is already there. So let's say z. So now you can just use the proportion and you can, find out value of z. Okay? So this is how you're going to solve this question number 9. So let's see the other questions. These are all questions of K method. ठीक है, so any confusion with the first method of proportion? हमने direct proportion का first method किया है, which is comparing quantities by like solving proportion by comparing quantities, right? So now we are going to move on to the second method, which is the K method, and we are still solving questions of direct proportion. So let's start with a simple question. You can see question number 3 and 4 maybe. So x is directly proportional to y and x is 4.5 when y is equal to 3. Okay, so x is directly proportional to y. So we are going to do question number 3. So question number 3 is like x is directly proportional to y. Okay, this is the symbol which we use. X is directly proportional to y. X is 4.5. So when we remove the sign of proportion, we put k here. So x is equal to ky. Okay, whenever we use this proportion, whenever we remove the sign of proportionality, so we put a constant here. Okay, so x is equal to ky. So now what we need to do? So we need to use this value when x is 4.5, y is 3. ठीक है, ये हमें relation given है. So now what else we need to do? We need to find out an equation connecting x and y. ठीक है, we need to do 3 parts. First part is find equation connecting, और आपको याद है पेपर में भी इसी तरह आता है, equation connecting x and y. Right? First of all, we need to do this x and y. Secondly, we need to find out x when y is 6. Find x when y is 6. Right? Third part is find y when x is 12. So when you have the equation now, so equation of proportionality, so then you can find out any value, okay, any missing value. So this is equation number 1, and we will use this equation so to solve first part. Achha, first part we need to find out equation connecting x and y. So we need to actually find out what is the relation between x and y. So we need to find out this value of k, and then we will put this value of k back in equation 1 so that we can form the equation connecting x and y. Okay? So we will say x is equal to ky, and because we know when x is 4.5, y is 3, so we will put the value of x and y so that we can solve k. Okay, so take this 3 on the other side of the equation. K is equal to 4.5 divided by 3, and if you solve it, k is equal to 1.5. Okay, this is the relation between x and y. This is how x and y are connected. So put this back in equation 1. Okay, to make this equation connecting x and y. So x is equal to 1.5y. इसका क्या मतलब है? इसका ये मतलब है कि x is y की whatever is the value of y, x is 1.5 times that value. Like if y is 1, so x would be 1.5. If y is 2, so x would be 1.5 multiply by 2 करेंगे ना. So it's like 1.5. What is double of 1.5? It's like 3, right? So if y is 3, if y is 3, if y is 3, so x is 4.5. This equation is now telling us the relation between x and y. Okay? So now the second part. Second part is, now this equation we will use. Find x when y is 6. So we will use this equation 2, let's say. So using equation 2, so we need to find out the value of x when y is 6. So 1.5 multiplied by 6. Okay, so 1.5 multiplied by 2 करें तो the answer is 3. So then the answer would be 6, and then it would be 9. So this is 9. Okay, there is no unit given, so we will just say x is equal to 9. If y is 6, x is 9. Okay, so now the third part. Third part is find y when x is 12. So we need to use the same equation using equation 2. Okay, so we will put the values in the equation. X is 12 and y is the unknown this time. Okay, take this 1.5 on the other side of the equation, so it will go in the division. So it will be 12 divided by 1.5, right? So you remove this decimal, so it will be 120 divided by 15. Now you can simplify. 5 3s are 15, so 5 2s are 10, and 5 4s are 20. So 3 8s are 24. So the answer would be 8. Okay, if x is 12, y is 8. Okay, that is your third answer. So this question can come for the 6 mark in the paper. So actually in the next classes, the proportion is more important by using the K method, okay, which is this method. Because this method may we find out a general formula for the comparison of two quantities. Okay, just like हम जैसे number sequences में करते हैं ना, we find out the general formula and then we use that formula to find out any value. So same is the case in the K method. K method में we make the formula. हम देख लेते हैं कि दोनों quantities कैसे compare करनी है. And then we put any of the value in that equation and we can find out the unknown. ठीक है बेटे? So I hope this is clear. So do you want to solve question number 4 as well? Or we should go to the yellow dot questions? What do you say? Do you want to do question number 4? Or we should do maybe question number 7 or 8? What do you suggest? Anyone? Maybe Hashim, Narmeen, Tati, Jafir,
7,
Waleed.
7, 8.
So we should 7 8 में से कुछ कर लेते हैं. ठीक है, this is a similar question. ठीक है, अच्छा, always remember K method में make the equation connecting the two variables. ठीक है, making that equation is just like making general term formula. ठीक है, so although अब यहाँ पर देखें in question number let's say 7 or 8, they are not asking you to make the equation in terms of z and let's say x. Yeah, in 8th question it is b and a. Okay, so they are not asking you that, but making the general term formula, or in this case making the equation expressing the two variable, is very important. Actually, we are going to solve last part, 8th part, sorry, 8th question. So in this question it is written b is directly proportional to a. If you will write down a is that, like if you will change that, you will think it does not matter, and you will write down a is directly proportional to b and b is directly proportional to, let's see if they are having the same meaning. यहाँ पर क्या होगा, a is equal to kb, और यहाँ पर क्या होगा, b is equal to ka. अब देखिए this is different. यहाँ पर अगर मुझे b को separate करना है in this equation, so b मेरे पास क्या आ जाएगा, a divided by k. So they are not same. You can see from this b is a by k, और यहाँ पर b is equal to ka, so they are definitely not equal, right? So it means कि order matters in proportion. So if it is written b is directly proportional to a, so you cannot say a this. Okay, this is wrong. This is the correct way of writing. B is directly proportional to a. I hope this point is clear, right? So now we are going to do question number 8. So question 8 is, if b is directly proportional to a, this is given to you. So definitely if you remove the proportion sign, it would be b is equal to ka. Okay, so now let's look at the other things we have. B is equal to 3 when A is 18. B is equal to 3 when A is 18, right? And we need to find out what is the value of B when A is 24. We need to find out what is B when A is 24. Okay, so now we will use the same thing. B is equal to KA. I told you K, find out the equation connecting B and A. Okay, so call this equation 1. First of all, let's find out the equation. Although they have not asked it, but it's a good habit. Okay, so we will put the value of B. B is 3. K into A is 18. Right? So K is equal to 3 by 18. Or we can say K is equal to 1 by 6. This is the value of K. Okay, so now let's put this K. Put K in equation 1. Okay, what we are going to do, we are basically finding the equation connecting B and A. Okay, so this is the equation connecting B and A. This is a good habit to do that. Equation connecting B and A. Okay, so now we can put the values. So we need to find out B when A is 24. So just simply put the value of A here. So 6 4s are 24. So B is equal to 4. Okay, that is the answer of this question. Okay, so this is the proper solution of K method. Okay, although you can compare the quantities also and you can find out the answer, but the proper solution is like this. Okay, so right. So moving on to the next question. Let me show you the book also. So we are done with question 8. I was saying that the graphs are not part of the curriculum. ठीक है, वैसे direct proportion के graphs are always a straight line. ठीक है. So now moving on to question number 12, 13, 14. Do you want to do any of this question? Any of these?
Yes.
Which one?
Maybe 13.
Maybe 13. So this question is the pressure P of a gas in a container is directly proportional to the temperature, its temperature T Kelvin. Okay. So we need to find out when T is 10, P is 25. So we need to find out, we need to solve 4 things. अच्छा graph तो हमने बनाना नहीं है. So the rest of the 3 things, find an equation connecting P and T. So if P when T is 24, and lastly what we need to do, we need to calculate T when P is 12. Okay. So let's solve this question. See pressure and P is directly proportional to temperature. So how we are going to write it down, just like any other question. So I am going to do question number 13. So question number 13 is pressure is directly proportional to temperature. Okay, so it's given in the question. So similar method, P is equal to KT, right? So K is the constant. So now we need to write down the data. When T is 10, P is 25. So when P is 25, T is 10. Okay, that's given to you. T is 10. Okay, proportion, your ratio works in pair, you know that. Okay, so this is also like this. You need to see the order. Okay, so now let's see. We need to find out an equation connecting P and T, pressure and temperature. Then in the second part, we need to do what? We need to find the value of P when T is 24. So we need to find P when T is equal to 24. Okay, so we will make the equation and then we can find out any of the value. Okay, so now the third part. Third part may we need to find out T when P is 12. We need to find out T when P is 12. Okay, this is what we need to solve. Okay, beta? Right. So now we will do the same thing. We will use equation 1, call this equation 1. So from equation 1, we will say P is 25 is equal to K multiplied by 10, right? And K is equal to, when take 10 on the other side of the equation, it will go in the denominator. Again, now you can just simplify to K is equal to 5 by 2. There is no need to change it into decimal because we will use this value in the equation. Okay. So now put k in equation 1. So equation 1 is p is equal to 5 by 2t. या इस तरह भी लिख सकते हैं इसको, p is equal to 5t by 2. ठीक है. So they both are same thing. So now we are going to use this equation number 2 to solve the rest of the parts, right? So now we will say second part में, for the second part we have to find p, and p is equal to 5 by 2 multiplied by 24. So 5 by 2 multiplied by t. ठीक है, t is 24. So this is like, if you cancel this out, this is 5 multiplied by 12. Okay, and we know that 5 into 12 is 60. Okay, actually this time we are having units also. We know that unit of P is pascals. So this is 60 pascals. Right? This is a real world problem. Like how these last 3 questions are different from the rest of the questions, because they are, real life questions. Okay, इसमें वही x, y or the other things are changed into the meaningful quantities. ठीक है, पहले हम ऐसी quantities compare करे थे ना, like we were comparing just quantities like x and y, a and b. ठीक है, now those quantities are changed into a meaningful quantities. Like if the temperature is 24 Kelvin, then the pressure is 60 pascals. Okay, now we will do the third part. So third part is we need to find out the temperature when P is 12. So we'll use equation 2. We'll say 12 is equal to 5 by 2 T. So we need to find out T. So we'll take this 5 by 2 on the other side of the equation. So it will get reversed. This 2 is in the denominator. It will go in the numerator. So T is equal to 12 multiplied by 2 divided by 5. Okay, so T is equal to, this is 24 by 5. And if you solve it, the answer would be, what is 24 by 5?
4.8.
4.8. Okay, so 4.8 kelvins. I think so. It was in Kelvin. Let me confirm it and we can write down the unit. Okay. The temperature is in Kelvin. Okay. So 4.8 Kelvin. If the pressure is 12 pascals, then the temperature would be 4.8 Kelvin. Okay, any questions? So this is a similar question, just the graph of direct proportion. It is always a straight line, right? Just in front of you, there is an example. So this is always a straight line. But sometimes, there are powers with the quantities also. जैसे अगर आप area को compare करें with the radius of the circle, तो आपको पता है the formula of area of circle is pi r square. So this is not a normal, although this is also a direct proportion. If you increase the radius of the circle, the area would be increased, right? But this is not a normal comparison because there is a square in the radius. One side is like linear and the other side is quadratic. So then the comparison or the proportion questions changed. Okay? So, but in our syllabus, we are only having linear comparison. So we will do that. So now we need to do exercise 7C. So now we need to do exercise 7C, question 1 to 12. This question, this exercise is for inverse proportion. Okay? While going to this exercise, you might see the graphs also. This is the graph of inverse proportion. Okay? So exercise 7C, we need to do first 12 questions of this exercise. The first question is that we need to just tell that are they inverse proportion or not. So you need to tell me the answers. The first one is the number of pencils Ali buys and the total cost of the pencil. So which type of proportion is this, direct or inverse? Anyone? It is direct proportion. The more pencils, the more cost. Okay? Now look at the B part. The number of taps filling a tank and the time taken to fill the tank. The more the number of taps, so the less time required. So it is inverse proportion. Okay? Inverse proportion. So the number of men laying a road and the time taken to finish laying the road. So what do you say? Inverse proportion. ठीक है, इस तरह का पेपर में क्वेश्चन आता है. You just have to identify the type of proportion. ठीक है. So now the next one is the number of cattle to be fed and the amount of fodder. So the more direct proportion. The more number of cattle, the more amount of fodder is required. Okay, fodder is, by the way, the food which we need to give to those cattle. The number of cattle to be fed and the time taken to finish certain amount of fodder. What do you say? Number of cattle and the time taken to finish.
Direct.
नंबर ऑफ
Inverse.
केटल्स ज्यादा होंगी तो टाइम वुड बी
Uh,
कितनी देर में उनका फूड फिनिश होगा, टाइम विल बी लेस, सो दिस
yes,
इज इनवर्स प्रोपोर्शन.
inverse.
So the assumptions they are saying, state the assumptions made in each question. Assumptions are what we are keeping constant. मैंने आपको बताया था proportion में except for the two quantities which are compared, बाकी सब कुछ हम assume करते हैं कि constant है. जैसे आप ये part में देखें, certain amount of the fodder, certain amount of the fodder का मतलब है कि the fodder is, amount of fodder is a constant. वैसे भी I told you in the proportion. अब देखिए यहाँ पर the number of pencils and the total cost. So ऐसा नहीं है, वो pencils, it is assumed that the same pencils are bought by Ali. ऐसा नहीं है एक expensive है एक costly है, ठीक है? The pencils are having same price. So in proportion questions, except for the two quantities which are compared, rest of all the quantities are considered constant. ठीक है? This is what is the assumption. So now let's solve the same. Similarly, we will solve these questions like, first of all, we will solve questions by comparing few questions by comparing the two quantities, okay? And then we will solve questions where the K method would be used. Okay? We can solve this question here. 8 men can build a bridge in 12 days. Okay? So what are the two things compared? We are comparing number of men are compared with the number of days, right? These are the two quantities compared. So if there are 8 men, the bridge can be completed in 12 days. So we need to find out how many time or how many days we need if there are 6 men to build the same bridge. Okay. So now because this is inverse proportion, देखिए जितने लोग ज्यादा होंगे उतना कम टाइम लगेगा ब्रिज को बनाने में, जितने लोग कम होंगे, वर्कर्स कम होंगे, आपको ब्रिज बनाने में ज्यादा टाइम लगेगा. तो it means that this is inverse proportion. So if you are putting one arrow up, the other will go down. Okay. So now we will make equation following the direction of arrow. So this is x by 12 is equal to 8 by 6. अगर ये direct proportion होता तो हम 6 by 8 लिखते, because we go in the same direction. Okay. Now because it is inverse proportion, so you can put the arrows in the two different directions. So now take this 12 on the other side of the equation. So x is equal to 8 into 12 divided by 6. Okay, now this 6 can be cancelled. 6 2s are 12. So x is equal to 16. So 16 days.
96.
ठीक है? 16 days. Right? So जब 8 workers काम कर रहे थे तो bridge 12 दिन में बन रहा था. Now the workers are 6. So definitely the number of days would be more. So this is a sensible answer. ठीक है? This is answer of this question. Now they're saying state the assumption made. So can anyone tell me what can be the assumption in this question? क्या हमने assume किया? Like क्या चीज हमने constant रखी थी? Men and
The
days
ti-
have changed. What can
the
be
time
taken as a constant?
the time each
Sorry?
man works daily. The time each man works daily.
So that's right. So the work quality may be. So we are assuming कि हर बंदा एक जितना काम कर रहा है. ठीक है? This is the first assumption we can say. The second assumption is maybe the bridge. ठीक है? असल में अगर देखा जाए तो इन दो क्वांटिटीज के अलावा हमने बाकी सारी चीजों को कांस्टेंट अज्यूम किया हुआ है. ठीक है? So the second assumption is they are working on the same bridge, the same length, same materials, same height. ठीक है? Same environment maybe. ठीक है? So these are the assumptions we have. ठीक है? We are assuming same circumstances. ठीक है? So same difficulty of work maybe, same machinery you can say. So बाकी सारी चीजें जो आप सोच सकते हैं ना इस केस में एक ब्रिज बनाते हुए, वो they are all kept same. ठीक है? So that is the assumption we are making in proportion. ठीक है? Very good. So moving on to the next part. ठीक है? आप देखिए question number 3 and 4 are questions of K method. ठीक है? So what we can do is that we can solve this question in the whiteboard. We will solve, let's say, question number 4. Q is inversely proportion to P. ठीक है? मैंने आपको बताया the order matters in proportion. So आपने Q is inversely proportion to, आपने you will write down Q first. ठीक है? So we are going to do question number 4 with the K method. So this time this is exercise 7C. ठीक है? Exercise 7C. We will do question number 4. Question number 4. So question number 4 is Q is inversely proportion. अब inversely proportion में sign direct proportion का use करेंगे. Because it is inversely proportion to, we will write down 1 by P. But is the screen updated? Can you see the whiteboard? 8th class, can you see the whiteboard?
Yes.
All right. So because it was stuck on my side, so I thought it's not updated. So Q is 0.25 when P is 2. So we know this Q is 0.25 when P is 2, right? So this is given to us, this relation. Actually, now because it is inverse proportion, so we have written it as Q is directly proportion की बजाय हम इसे पढ़ते हैं Q is inversely proportion to P. ठीक है, और लिखते कैसे हैं? Because we will put it like this 1 by P. So now we will change this proportionality sign and we will put K in place of that. So K by P, this is your equation 1. ठीक है, डायरेक्ट प्रोपोर्शन भी हमेशा अगर ये डायरेक्ट प्रोपोर्शन होता तो के पी बन जाता, लेकिन नाउ बिकॉज इट इज इनवर्स प्रोपोर्शन तो इट वुड बी के बाय पी, right? So now what we do, we will put the values of q and p in this equation 1. So we will say, क्योंकि हमने पहला काम यही करना है, हमने क्या करना है, make equation connecting p and q, equation connecting p and q. ठीक है, इसका मतलब है we need to put the value of k in this equation. तो पहले हमने k की वैल्यू निकालनी है, ठीक है. So to find out the value of k, we will use this given values. So q की जगह पे आ जाएगा 0.25 is equal to k divided by 2. So take this 2 on the other side of the equation, so it will be 0.25 multiplied by 2. So if you double 0.25, it is 0.5. So k की value is 0.5. Now put this value of k in equation 1. So q is equal to k by p है ना, तो 0.5 by p. अच्छा, now this is the equation connecting p and q. ये equation 2 जो है ये हमें relation बता रही है in p and q. Right? So now let's see the question. So the question is, if find q when p is 5. ठीक है, second part is find q when p is 5. Okay, so we will put this value of p in the equation. Okay, so q would be 0.5 divided by 5. So now how can we solve? So I told you earlier also, we can keep it in the decimal, in the fraction also. Just remove this decimal and this will be 5 by 50. Okay, now just say this q is equal to 5 by 50 का मतलब है it's 1 by 10. Just keep it like this. Okay, q is 1 by 10. So now the third part. Third part में we need to find out p when q is 0.2. We need to find out p when q is 0.2. Okay, so we will put the values in the equation. So q is equal to, sorry, q is equal to, ये आपके पास equation है 0.5 by p. Take this p on the other side of the equation, so it will be p is equal to 0.5 divided by q की value is 0.2. Okay, so now this is the rule in the simplification. You can take the decimal equal number of step forward. So this is p is equal to 5 by 2. ठीक है, and 5 by 2 is 2.5 अगर आप लिखना चाह रहे हैं, or you can say this is the answer. P is equal to 5 by 2. So any question up till this point? Anything you cannot understand?
सब कुछ समझ आ गया.
All right, this is an easy topic, so इसमें से दोबारा final में भी questions आएंगे. So बेटा you need to practice it. ये मुश्किल topic नहीं है. So और calculations are also not very difficult. ठीक है? So let's see which question now we can solve. So you can also suggest. This is question number 5. Do you want to do together or it's? So what about question number 5? Do you want to do this question together or is it fine? This statement is very long. The बाकी चीजें वही हैं. You can see it's the comparison of quantities. So number of workers and the project, number of days to complete the project. So it's a similar question. Number of workers are compared with the number of days that project should be completed in. Okay, so if there are 35 workers, so the project completed in 16 days. Okay, so now they are saying the project manager or the boss says that project should be completed. This is the estimated time. So they are saying, like he's saying, project should be completed in 14 days. So do you think it will be completed with the same 35 workers? No, we need to maybe hire some more workers. So we need to find out that. ठीक है, so it's inverse proportion. जितने workers ज़्यादा होंगे उतना ही कम time लगेगा. So you can say x by 35 is equal to 16 by 14. ठीक है, So one thing I'm using 16 by 14 or यहाँ पे is opposite direction. So x is equal to 16 multiplied by 35 divided by 14. So if you solve this, so 2 sevens are 14, 2 eights are 16, and this 7 fives are 35. So 8 fives are 40. So how many workers they need? If they want to complete the work 2 days before the estimated time, so they need to. Acha, अब the question is not कि how many workers are to be used. Question is how many more workers. So how many more workers? Earlier there were 35. So how many more this time?
5.
What are the assumptions they're asking you? बल्कि it's not there. ठीक है? So assuming that all the workers work at the same rate. ठीक है बेटे? So let's look at the rest of the questions. 12 questions are there in the syllabus. ठीक है? अच्छा, this question I think so I gave you in the test maybe, or in the question in the class we did it last time also. Consignment of fodder can feed 1260 cattle for 50 days. So all the cattle, assumption हम क्या करें, all the cattle consume the same fodder at the same rate. Find the number of cattle an equal assignment of fodder can feed for 75 days. So I hope this is easy. Do you want to do question number 6 or should we do question number 7? What do you say?
6.
Question number 6. All right. So let's do question number 6. Question 6 may the number of cattle are compared with the number of days that fodder will be consumed in. So question number 6 of this exercise is, question number 6 is number of cattle compared to number of days, right? So the given data is that if there are 1260 cattle, so sorry, cattle plural is also cattle. So 1260 cattle 50 days, right? So 1260 cattle 50 days, right? So now we need to find out that if there are if like we need to finish that fodder in 75 days, so how many cattle we should be having? Okay, definitely there will be less cattle, so let's call it x. This is inverse proportion. If one arrow is going up, the other arrow is going down. Okay, so it is x by 1260. This is the first part is equal to 50 by 75. So just take this 1260 on the other side of the equation. So 50 multiplied by 1260 divided by 75. So now you can just cancel 50, 25 twos are 50, threes are 75. This 3 can be cancelled, 3 fours are 12, 3 twos are 6 and this. So x is equal to 840 cattle. So like if there are 840 cattle, so then the same fodder will be finished instead of 50 days, it will be finished in 75 days, right? So now the second part of this question. So these questions are not difficult. They are following the same manner you can see. So just the situation is different. So now the second part is the number of days an equal consignment of fodder can last if it is used to feed, so it was 1575 cattle. Now the number of cattle are more. So for the second part, we will write down the initial values will be same. Number of cattle and the number of days. The same two quantities are compared. Okay? So we will write down when there are 1260 cattle, there are 15 days. So now the consignment is same, but the cattle are more now. They are 1575 cattle, and we need to find out how many days that consignment will last. Because this is again inverse proportion. One arrow go up and the other goes down. So you need to follow the direction of arrow. This will be y by 50 is equal to 1260 by 1575, right? So take this 50 on the other side of the equation. It will be 1260 multiplied with 50 divided by 1575. Okay, so we can divide it with 25. 2s are 50, 25. 6 are 150. And then this would be 25. 1s are 25. I hope there is no mistake. So now, can I cancel this? Or can anyone tell me the answer? What is the answer of this all? 1260 multiplied with 50 divided by anyone? जी बेटे 1260 multiplied with 50 divided by 1575. So the answer is 40.
40.
Okay, answer is 40. So 40 days, and that makes sense because the number of cattle are more, and definitely the fodder will last for the less number of days. Okay, so it's 40 days. So G beta, any question? Here powers. So इसमें कोई और trick नहीं है. Just you will write down frequency is inversely proportion to 1 by wavelength is lambda. ठीक है? So frequency is direct inversely proportion to lambda. Lambda is the wavelength of that frequency, and the rest of the things are similar. Okay, so any question, anything you want, any question you want to solve together, or you want to give it a try maybe. Give it.
No, ma'am.
Is it fine, everyone?
Question
What
11.
about sorry?
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
want to solve question 11?
Question 11. Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can solve this question together. So this question is, I was just saying this is a real life question. Like just maybe that is making it और ये difficult नजर आ रहा है बज़ाहिर क्योंकि ये real life situation है लेकिन वैसे इसमें वही दो चीजें हैं just like previous question में हम BA को compare कर रहे हैं और XY को compare कर रहे हैं इसमें we are just comparing frequency with the wavelength ठीक है so let's solve question number 11. So this question is frequency is inversely proportion to lambda. Lambda is the wavelength. ठीक है so inversely proportion है इसलिए we will write down symbol तो direct proportion का ही use होता है लेकिन because it is inversely proportion so we will write it down as 1 by lambda. ठीक है this is इसको कैसे read करना है lambda. Lambda is mathematical constant actually. Science में भी आपने शायद देखा हो जैसे frequency. अच्छा frequency is equal to if you remove the sign of proportionality so you will put a k. So k by lambda. K is a constant. ठीक है we call this equation 1. ठीक है now let's see what are the values given. अच्छा it is given that if there is 300 meter wavelength of 3000 meter अगर wavelength है 3000 meters ठीक है so the frequency is 100 kilohertz. ये आपने पढ़ा हो शायद साइंस में वेव्स में कहीं पे किलोहर्ट्ज यूनिट ऑफ फ्रीक्वेंसी ठीक है ये आपको गिवन है ठीक है सो वी विल यूज दिस टू फाइंड आउट अच्छा देयर आर टू पार्ट्स ठीक है सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हम इसकी इक्वेशन बनाते हैं सो पुट द डाटा इन द इक्वेशन सो 100 इज इक्वल टू k by 3000 ठीक है सो k is equal to you can read this number
Ma'am, 300,000.
300,000 बिल्कुल सही ठीक है so that is the value of k. We need to find out frequency. Okay. So we need to find out frequency when the lambda is 500 meters. Okay. This is what we need to do. So now we can use the values in this equation too. So frequency is the unknown and we need to put 300,000 divided by 500. Okay. So frequency is, you can cancel these and this will be 600. So the unit is kilohertz. Okay. Right. So now the second part would also be solved in the similar way. Okay. The second part is the wavelength that has a frequency of 800 kilohertz. So this time frequency is given to you for the second part of this question. Frequency is 800 kilohertz. Okay, you need to find out lambda. Wavelength आपने निकालनी. So we will use equation number 2. So 800 frequency is equal to 300,000 divided by lambda. Okay, so lambda is equal to 300,000 divided by 800. Okay, cancel these two zeros. So it would be 3000 by 8. So can anyone tell me what is the answer of 3000 by 8? 3000 by 8. It should be fully divisible. So 300 and
24,000. 24,000.
no, 3000 divided by 8. not multiply, divided by 8.
375.
300 and 375. Very good. So 375 and the unit is meters. Okay. So this is just the same question, but usually to make the question simpler, we use the values like X and Y, A and B, P and Q. So this is a real world situation. And the real in the real life frequency is compared with wavelength. Okay. So ये question difficult nahi hai. Just maybe the notations are new or maybe the units are probably different. Okay, this is the 11th question of this exercise. There is lastly the question 12, which is also a real life question. अगर आप गौर करें, this is question number 12. ठीक है? Question 13 onward is not part of the syllabus. So we need to do only blue and yellow dots. ठीक है? देखा अब lastly question. The time is compared with n. N are number of workers. ठीक है? So ये तो आपने पहले भी इस तरह question किया. So I hope this you can do it right now. Like you can do it on your own. ठीक है बच्चे? So any comments, any questions, because we are done with the revision of this topic proportion.